All right. It is Tuesday, June 9th, and we are live here at the Center for Blade Arts. I'm Coach Alex, and with me today, I have...
Coach Tyler. Good to see you. All right, so it's Tuesday, and that means it's foil day. So we're gonna do, let's just go through the list while we're all here. So we got cardio. We got high kicks for the hamstrings. We got compound lunges. That's going to get our quads and our hip flexors. We got frog squats, which are going to get our groin muscles, and hip circles, just to kind of get a whole kind of nice. We love hip circles. All right, then footwork wise, this is going to be a counter offense footwork set. This is what we're going to focus on. So on tomorrow on Wednesday, or if you're watching it on Wednesday today, we're going to be working on counter offense in our class. So the thing that we're including here is half steps. And we're going to play around with how to use half of a step, forwards, backwards, and in this particular instance, we're going to be looking at doing it as part of a counter-offensive action. But you can do it on offense too. It's just, you see it a little more on counter-offense, at least in foil. Okay, well, let's start at the top. So we got some cardio. Let's get our timer started. Oh yeah. Doing great. How's your day going, Alex?
Not too bad.
Good to hear.
Went out to the park near my house and flew a drone around. So that was fun.
Whoa, that sounds super cool. That's really awesome. Man, I've always wanted to fly a drone, or at least see one in person.
Oh.
But I haven't, so. Well, maybe someday we'll check that out.
You can get them. I managed to get this one during a sale, so I got it at a pretty good price.
Yeah. That's sweet. Do you have like a DJI drone, or is it a different company? Or?
What is the company? I think Sky Viper is the brand.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. You go to stores, there's like a ton of at least like cheap low-end models.
I see. Yeah, I've seen them at like Micro Center when I've been window shopping for graphics cards. You know, you know. I mean, I go there to pick up like a USB cable or something, but I'll like take a trip next to.
Oh, you got to check out the water cooled ones with the RGB LED lights.
Oh yeah,
everything.
Be like, man, someday I'm gonna buy that, and then another new GPU will come out the next day, and I'll regret everything. Oh man, no, I'm still limping along on my. I almost don't want to say, because then somebody's gonna be like, I plugged in a potato into a battery, and that's what. Quit complaining, Tyler. No, I've got a 9th series NVIDIA card, so it's a couple generations old now at this point. They're coming out with the 3000 series.
Oh, are they 3000 now?
Soon, yeah.
Oh, coming. Okay.
They got the 2000 series, and then they had the 1000 series,
yeah.
And then I've got the 900 series. So they were pretty good when they first came out. They were a pretty significant improvement over the previous series, but then the 10th series or the 1000 series, those were crazy. So we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what AMD brings to the table this year. They're apparently working on their, they've released a lot of like mid-range, high-value graphics cards recently that have been pretty good, other than some like spotty driver errors I've heard. But
yeah, those aren't good.
But, I mean, they're a little bit below the price range that I'm like really aiming into. I want something just like one step.
Just a little bit beefier.
Yeah, because I hang on to my graphics cards for a while, because I usually buy one that goes with a monitor that I have. Like I usually get those. So right now I've got a monitor that is a little bit too hard for my GPU to drive. And so if I upgrade my graphics card, I can hang on at that resolution for a while and be okay. So anyways,
see.
All right.
Future proofing.
To a point.
To a point,
just,
yeah.
Yeah, just matching up to what you got. But okay, let's do some high kicks. So set a shorter timer. So the key thing here, so we're gonna be doing them not necessarily as high as you might imagine. So you might want to just kick as high as you can, but instead we want to work our way up to that. So we want to start with some kind of mid kicks instead of high kicks. You can do them across like this. You can do them on the same side like this, or you can kind of mix it up and do it however you'd like. I'm not doing both at the same time. Or you can just do it directly in front. But you can see from the side, I'm taking extra care to not let my lower back arch. It's really easy to like try and do this, where your back curves down, to try and bring these two things together more. And it doesn't matter, you can do it low or high and still make that mistake. So keep everything erect in the lower back as you're doing your kicks. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, GPUs. Not that it's super fancy, but yeah, I'm interested to see what sort of higher level stuff AMD marches out this year, and I suppose what NVIDIA brings out too, because well, we'll see. But oh yes. So you got to fly your drone around.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you take some pictures, or you just kind of?
So I actually have two.
Oh.
One has a camera. The other has a camera, but it uses it for part of its guidance system only.
I see. Okay.
So
it's not a picture kind of camera.
No. The other one I have is, but I have not gotten it working yet.
Huh.
It's I've kind of been mostly focusing on flying that one because it's a lot more unruly because it doesn't have as much of a guidance system.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, maybe next time or the time after I'll get that thing working. You're supposed to be able to hook up a cell phone and see it through there.
That makes sense. All right, so we're going to do our compound lunges, so getting our quad stretch and hip flexor stretch. So I'll do it on this line so it's a little easier to kind of see what my body's doing. So I'm going to step over the line so that my body is more or less over this line. And I'm going to drop down to here. There we go. Good. And then you come up, and then you do it on the other side. So now, part two, the compound part of this. So the compound part is when I step over, I'm going to leave my foot behind. I'm going to let my back leg trail off and keep my heel down. You're not going to be able to go super far this way unless you have an Achilles tendon made out of rubber, which I envy you. But so once you've done that, then you can bend the knee and come down. Oh, neat. So same thing. So I kind of want to measure it so that I'm going to be able to drop my knee onto the line once I'm done doing the first part of my compound lunging movement. So I'm stretching my calf right now. Then I'm going to drop down to the floor right there, and I'm keeping off the floor, I'm touching the floor, but I'm not. I'm keeping tension between my feet so that I'm supporting myself. I'm not letting my weight go really loose down onto my knee. And then, if you want to, you can then push your hips forwards from this position. And then you come back up. And we'll do one more on each side. We'll move on to our frog squat. Okay, so one on this side, so we go here, stretch, stretch, stretch. Then we go down, 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 and then forward, forward, forward. And oop, back. So we go stretch, stretch, stretch. Then we go down, down, down. Then we go forward, forward, forward. Okay, time. for the frog squat. Okay, the key thing that we're looking at here is we're gonna try and get as low as we can in a squat position with our knees wide without letting our lower back curve down like this. So we're gonna keep everything up and elevated. We're gonna pretend like we've got a really heavy weight up on our shoulders. And if you curl over with a heavy weight, it's gonna pull you down. So you're gonna try and keep everything up so that it'll be supported. Okay, so start our time. We'll go down, 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 down. And if you feel like your lower back is starting to feel like it's curving or feeling stretched, so like here, I'm feeling myself go forward. So once I have gotten as low as I can get with my butt sticking out, that's where I want to be. And you can put your elbows on your knees to help you stabilize, or not. And then we'll go up. Good. So then we'll go down again. So we'll go down, 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 and then we'll hold, 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 and then we'll go up, up, up. So down, 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 hold, 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 and then up, up, up. Couple more. So down, 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 pop, hold, 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 and then up, up, up. Your angle of your feet is going to probably be different than mine. Might be a little narrower, might be a little wider. You do what you need to make it comfortable. The only thing we don't want is for your knees to go in like this. They can go kind of out or really out. That's up to kind of your own personal hip flexibility and how your bones come out of your body. That's you. There's no one quite like you out there. And then up, up, up. Okay. Final thing for our warm up, we're going to do hip circles. So we're going to go up and around. Same thing on the other side. Up and around. Up and around. Up and around. So since we've already loosened our hips up a good amount with our frog squat, you're going to probably feel that your hip circles are a little smoother and a little bit bigger than they are otherwise. And sometimes when you train, you do want to do two different things in a row, especially with like flexibility training. You do two related but not the same things in a row in order to prime the muscles for that second movement using the first. This does not follow when you're doing some kinds of fitness work. Like if you're doing really heavy, really powerful stuff, that first thing into the second thing will significantly diminish your performance in the second action, but there is merit nonetheless. Sam a couple weeks back talked about, like in basketball, the idea of the second jump. We'll switch to doing the other direction. So we'll go out to in. And so most everybody in high school basketball, even just at that level, not even college or semi-pro or pro, like just in high school ball, most everybody's got a good jump shot. They've been doing it for years. They can get vertical and they can put the ball in the bucket. But what separates like D1 high school athletes and like D2, D3 college athletes from higher level athletes in basketball is that second jump. Can they throw a jump shot and then immediately do another one of similar quality? And for less experienced athletes, the answer is no. For pros, they can hit jump shots for, over and over and over again as they train and train and train. Okay, cool. We'll talk a little bit about why that is maybe a little later. All right, so we're going to move into our footwork. So we're going to do advances and retreats just to warm our legs up to doing fencing specific movements. So just one advance, one retreat, just warming up. So we go in and out. And I'm going to do one at a time for a minute. And then I'm going to smooth it out for the second minute. So I'm doing one and one. Just focusing on making the quality really good and not worrying about moving a lot. So as we get back into training, over the next couple weeks, you start to train more, you train maybe in person as we open back up. One of the big things that we're going to have to kind of pay attention to is that most of y'all have not been doing a lot. Some of you have, but not all of you have been doing a lot of stuff. And that's okay. No one's assigning blame. I get it. But at the same time, we're going to move to doing it smoothly instead of just one at a time. So 1, 2. So at the same time, no one's blaming you for being less active. That's to be expected. But we need to plan for your lack of activity and adjust your training so that it matches up with how you're going to train in the next few weeks. If we just had you come in at the regular frequency, doing the regular amount of work after you've taken 3 weeks off, you're going to get injured in a minor or major way. Hopefully neither, but we have to walk back into doing training. There's a really good resource that Coach Anna sent me about kind of like physical therapy and returning to activity after long periods of abstinence, whether it's forced or voluntary. And that's something, that's something I'd like to go over more in the future. Maybe I'll do it on Pepe's stream later this week. All right, so we're going to do some lunging and recovering. So first minute, we're going to lunge and hold, then recover, and then the second minute we'll do smooth lunge and recover. So do lunge and hold, recover. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So just equivalent parts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Good. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ba, ba, ba. Oops. Ba, 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 ba. Good. One important note from that resource that Anna sent me is that you have to like maybe start now with this even, where you look at how often were you training before you stopped. How many days were you training? How many hours were you training a week? You figure that out. For most of you, you were coming like 2 or 3 times a week, doing like 1.5-ish hours of training. But even if we assumed you were doing some extra stuff, you're doing 2 hours 3 times a week, that's 6 hours. And going from 0 to 6 hours a week, that's a really big jump, because like every hour that you add on, that's a pretty significant increase in activity. And so we're going to have to kind of build up to that. The worst thing that we could do is come back being out of shape, having lost a lot of our muscle tone, lost a lot of our stabilizing capabilities, All right, we're gonna smooth these lunges out for a little bit, and then we're gonna move to the next thing. So we lose a lot of stuff not being super active the last couple months. The worst thing that we could do is to come back and fence for an hour straight without doing any sort of training or any sort of prep. And what's gonna happen, you're gonna wake up the next day and you're gonna go, oh God, I wanna die, I'm so sore. Or you may get injured during the course of that fencing. So just like any sort of preseason athletics group, you're gonna do training that's gonna get you back in before you play a single game. If I was gonna go play, I don't know, let's say basketball. When is basketball season? Well, it's in March. Does training start in March? No. Training doesn't start in March. When does training start? Training starts weeks and weeks ahead of the first game ever being played. And what do athletes do? Do they go into practice? Do they play a bunch of basketball games? No. They lift weights, they run, they do drills, they do a bunch of stuff to get themselves ready, and then they start playing games. So that's the same thing that we got to think about doing too. Okay, so we're going to start getting into the fun stuff. We love the fun stuff. So we're going to do a half step and then a full step. We're going to do it on the front and the back. So we'll do like a minute each side until it's done. So we're going to start with a half step back and then a full step forward. So we're going to go half back and step forward. So I'll reset. So you're going to go half back, step forward. If you're not used to doing a half step, just start doing the step and then quit halfway through. So if you're going to do a half retreat, start thinking about retreating and then just quit. Now you can do the other part. You step in. So if I'm going to do advance, I'm going to move my front foot, then my back foot. So again, I go 1, 2, 3. I'll do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Cool. So let's do like a minute. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. Good. We'll turn around. You can see the other side. One of the best things for this, any half step really, I want you to think about it for a second. I'll tell you in like 20 something seconds what it's for, but why do a half step? What's the purpose? What are you going to accomplish with your little half step? What are you possibly going to tell your opponent that's worthwhile that's going to involve this little half step? Well, I'll tell you what you're going to do. So I'll tell you after we do the other thing. So we're going to do our half forward step and then we're going to do our retreat. So we're going to do half advance, step back. So do half of an advance, just don't finish it, and then we step back. So you go ba, ba, ba. Good. So I'll tell you, here's what it's good for. Doing half of the step is going to show your opponent a real thing. You just don't do the whole thing. It's a feint. It's a feint that you do with your feet. You're faking a step. You're just not finishing the step. In the same way, like you can fake an attack, but not finish the attack. If I do it really big, someone who's inexperienced might fall for that, but the people who are more experienced are looking for more subtlety. They're looking for something where everything else looks like you may continue. The only thing that separates the fake one from the real one is the second part of that step. So they don't need to see a lot for it to start to maybe be real. But who you're fencing is going to greatly influence how you gotta give that information to them. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same idea. We're gonna flip everything around. So we're gonna do a full step And then we're gonna do a half step. Check it out. So we're gonna do a full advance and then a half retreat. So we'll go advance, half retreat. And notice how I pulled my front foot back? Was that correct or not? Maybe. If I'm choosing to do it, it's correct. If I'm doing it because I'm used to doing a lunge and recover when my feet are apart, maybe not correct. So I want you to do the whole step, half a step, and then come back to on ground. So you go full, half, maybe do it the other way the next time so you don't do it the same every time. Go full, half, yeah, I'll step back. Full, half, yeah, I'll step forward. Okay, a couple more, and then we'll do the other side. So we go full, half, back, full, half, forward. Full, half, back. All right, now we'll do the other side. So we'll do a retreat with a half advance. And again, we want to alternate what we do with our feet after the half advance, so we're not getting a habit of doing just one kind of thing after that half step. So we're going to start with our retreat. So we'll go retreat, half step. This time we'll go back, retreat, half step. This time we'll go forwards, retreat, half step. Go forwards again, retreat, half step. This time I'll go back, retreat, half, forward, retreat, half, back. Good. See how I'm changing it up so I'm not always doing the same. So retreat, half, back, retreat, half, forward. And having this kind of flexibility with how you do your half steps and your full steps makes you much lighter on your feet. Gives you a lot more control every time one foot hits the ground. If you're used to always going clomp, clomp, and clomp, clomp, that's as far as everything's broken down in your head. And you stop thinking about tempos that are smaller than that. You don't have a way to really get a deep grab on your opponent's tempo. Where if you're used to responding to things on both feet, you're going to get twice as much tempo sensitivity to someone who doesn't. It's like a superpower. All right, so now we're going to do a combo, and then given enough time, we may even do a second combo, but we'll check the time. So this first combo, this is a complete fencing thought. This is not like everything else was like preparation you could do or a snapshot of a final moment where you're hitting. This last thing on the list is a complete thought, as I like to think about it. This is a fully fleshed out fencing idea. Start to finish, like you show your opponent something and then something happens. So it's a fully formed action. So we're going to do a half advance, a full retreat, and then a lunge and a recover. So here's what it'll look like. So we're going to go half step, full step, lunge and recover. So half, full, ba, ba. So half, full, ba. I'll turn around so you can see the other side. So we go half, full, I want you to think about, while we're going through and doing this, what is the half step for? What is the retreat for? What is the lunge and the recover for? What am I doing here? Why am I doing this? What's happening here? I think most of you probably know what's going on in the lunge. But for the other parts, what's happening there? Let's think about our opponent. Why am I doing this? Do I want them to see something. When I get closer, when I go on my front foot, I'm vulnerable. They're going to come hit me, hopefully. And when they do, I step away so that they will miss or have more time to take a parry. Then I can go in and lunge and hit while they are off balance, and I have an advantage. So I put the bait out, I spring the trap and finish. So I put out the bait, they take the bait, I hit. So see, 3 phases. Every single fencing action has these 3 phases. Some kind of bait, them taking the bait, and then you hitting them after you get them to take the bait. Okay, one more time. So set the bait, or set the trap, they take the bait, you hit them. Set the trap, they take the bait, you hit. See how I did that one with the parry, the one before I did not? That's dependent on the distance and how tight it is. Maybe you made a mistake and you have to parry. Maybe parrying was part of the trap in the first place. Okay, I'm looking at the time. I want to make sure that the next class has enough time to prepare, because we're going live in a little bit for the Zoom class. So I will demonstrate this last one and then you can practice it right on your own. So the second fully formed fencing thought we've got here is a half retreat with a full advance and then a defensive lunge. So let's think about how this would work. I do my half retreat and then I do a full advance. And then I can do a defensive lunge. So what's happening here? I step away, I move in, and I step away again. What's happening? So generally when you're taking a defensive lunge, you're doing it to buy time. Usually to buy time to parry. Not always. Sometimes you're doing it to buy time to counterattack, but in foil, generally, you're doing it to buy time to parry. So we do a half retreat. What's going on there? What's the bait? So I'm trying to get them to think that I'm coming in, or that I'm leaving, so that they do something, right? And so then suddenly, I step in. What's happening here? Well, this is the part of the trap that is important. It's where I change the power dynamic. So I set the bait, they take the bait when I step in. So what's happening there? Well, I'll show you. So I set the bait here. They think I'm going back. So maybe they step in a little closer than they're supposed to. I step further in. Now they're going to attack, but it's not going to be effective. Why? Because the distance is wrong. So depending on how close you are, if you're really close, you might actually hit on that advance. You'll hit, and then that defensive lunge is just, it could even just be a step to the side if you're more advanced. So you go half, and then there. If you're a little less experienced, you might go step in here. Or maybe you step back, do the advance, parry, riposte. So you're just setting some bait with the step back to ensure that they step in. You're not trying to scare them off, you're trying to pull them in. Step in gets you closer than you're supposed to be, and then the step back maybe gives you a little more time to execute. Okay, so there's 2 different kind of scenarios that you can use, and I think we'll stop it there. So, quick note, so next week we are going to be, starting on Monday, we're going to be doing limited classes. So things are going to be quite a bit different than what you might be used to. So tonight, I'm probably not going to get it out until a little later tonight, just because we've got this and then the Zoom class and then the video production stuff and other stuff that has to get done. But before midnight, my commitment is before midnight, I'm going to send out an update tonight with our new schedule, the guidelines that everyone needs to know, and then the reservation sign-up form, because classes will, unfortunately for the time being, are going to be by reservation only. So you will have to set up a reservation for classes. It'll be nice and easy. You won't have to reserve every time. We're just going to reserve spots for people day over day. If we have someone who's consistently not coming, we'll probably have a conversation about it. So that being said, if you have questions, you can call CBA and I can pick up the phone, or you can email us at contact at Center for Blade Arts if you have questions. Or you can message us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and I usually respond to that about as quickly as I can turn around on it. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. A few of you have my phone number already, so if you have that, you can text me. And if you don't, you can text the CBA number. That's a cell phone, so you can text that if you prefer to not call. There's lots of ways to get a hold of me and get information you need. Otherwise, just keep an eye out for that post. Okay, so exciting news for sure. So until we can see you next week, we'll see you here on the internet. So stay safe, stay hydrated, take care. Good to see you.